how to do this.
That's right, and then,
Is there a way to do it?
Only with data. Like unless you do Wi-Fi, like if you put your phone on Wi-Fi in the house, then sure. Because you open up the website and you just press play. It's like watching YouTube. It's exactly the same as watching YouTube.
So I don't need to do it on the laptop.
Nice. Yeah. So the interface I use now, it's Google Meeting, which is, it's precisely the same as the Hangout. It's precisely the same as a YouTube video. It's just embedded in the site, and they're private, so other people can't see them.
I guess I should look into that too, if you want to do it next year. The whole idea of doing it which other ways, like.
So you open the web page, and it's right there.
So I can practice right now on my phone.
Yes, you can.
oh, yes.
Like, have you ever watched a YouTube video? Never. You've never watched a YouTube video. Okay. There's a whole world to explore there. There's all kinds of cool stuff on YouTube. So it's, have you ever watched a video online?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just press play, like it's that simple. It really is that simple.
So what about like listen, so it's just listen, like.
So it's this. Your email?
Oh, the red
Okay.
that's not okay.
Because they're not in.
You know you're on data. If you do video on data, it's, okay.
Oh, thank God I wasn't in it.
I have
Never
an
supposed to give me, like,
So there's a password.
I said, there's gotta be something.
But if I'm pressing play on the thing.
I'll figure them out.
Strong women, all one word,
Okay, I used to play what I did.
which will then change in January.
This is, okay, usually we're first doing something.
I'm just very visual.
And then she goes to,
Are you practicing? I'm practicing.
how do I activate that?
Did you answer?
Did
you say yes?
So the one on the first page is always the live one. And then there's Touch Archive, and it takes you to all the replays around. There's not another password, it's just one password.
Oh, there you go. So then if you're on that, that's what's happening here. Okay.
If you want to ask a question, you just click the chat box.
There's no,
Maybe.
It's as simple as it can be.
women or women.
In.
And
All
so
of
we
them.
just type questions in.
Yeah, there's a chat thing, and you just click chat, type in your question. And then you can ask, if you have a headset, you can ask questions if you want to. Sorry? If you want to ask a question out loud, you have to have a headset, because otherwise you get a feedback loop, right? Because what happens is if you're playing sound through speakers, and then we turn on your microphone, then it goes around a circle.
You can read that.
Right?
This is live. This is the live.
This is the live.
She said, okay, 5 minutes before we started, she said, this is the day to workshop, and the date. That's all I remember. I don't remember anything else.
I made some neural pathways.
Right? Pretty simple.
I answered.
You make it simple for
No,
us.
you could, if you want to ask a question, you have to type it in if you don't have a headset. If you want to ask it out loud, as long as you have a headset, you can turn on your mic.
Like your iPhone.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's only because of that, right? So if you don't have a headset and we turn on your microphone, then everything goes around in circles, it's all bad. You get feedback.
That wasn't so bad.
I think I can do that.
Well, and I debated about asking, like, because right now what I have is the live one is right there on one page and the replays are all on the other page. I could have them all on one page. I just thought that would be confusing for people, right?
We're just using it.
Probably listen to them this weekend, I'm home alone down.
Right?
Who's going to the rock? My husband and my daughter go to the rock.
How come you're not going?
Last time I had, they're like, my sister-in-law wanted to go to the side, so I figured it was safer that I stayed home.
I completely understand that.
It's like, okay. So we'll
See?
me and the dogs.
I like alone time.
Safer for you.
Both.
I like alone time.
In rock, yes.
Yeah.
She's a really nice lady, I think.
Trish, can you hook your stuff up?
Yep, I certainly can.
Thank you.
Oh, it's 5:02.
Good.
Should be paying attention.
Let's see if I can make it this next 5 minutes.
And
So
how did
this
you
is
get
the
into a
last one.
conversation like that?
No, there's one in December.
There is one in December.
Yeah. I think it's the 13th.
No, not on that.
Hello. Let me know when you turn on record and I'll say the date and all that good stuff. Okay, so it's Owning Your Fire, November 22nd, 2017. We have one more in-person one, and then we start in January with only online. No more traffic issues. You'll really appreciate it in January that you don't have to go out in the cold. Okay, we can do that. See? Only if you want to ask an auditory question. Otherwise, you have to type it in. So we'll see. And see, most people have tried it because for the last 2 years when I was in Florida, we did February and March. That's what we did, was the all online. Yes, we could have help again,
I just had a tutorial.
right?
I just did my own tutorial right here.
Right?
So I don't have a smartphone.
On the
I
computer,
didn't know I could do it on my smartphone. I thought I had to use my laptop.
right? It's so easy. If you can watch YouTube, you can do this.
Awesome.
No.
It's literally YouTube embedded, but it's private, like it's a private, right?
Then you can't hear.
So.
I could use my mom's TV.
You could.
Well, no, I couldn't because
Oh, here's,
yeah, I saw her yesterday.
I could not hear, okay.
Good.
I need a break.
Yep. Works well.
That's cannot, that's
I
here.
have to see her before I go in next week to get the tires done that I'm putting on her car.
Oh, oh, I can, okay.
There you go. See?
I got the digging. I got the that, but it's pushed up because I
Yes.
have 40% off.
Yes.
8 to 9.
Exactly.
8 to 9 a.m.
Judy booked her tire appointment in April and got her tires done the day before it snowed. I'm going, like, see, there's that evidence, right? Like, in case you're wondering if your intuition's dead on or not, it was literally the day before it snowed.
I said, yes, Paul, right now, I'm booking for November. November 17th, yes.
Perfect, right?
My friend tried to book last week with Costco. The next appointment was December 28th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Costco's
I had a guy come to
crazy.
my house.
Oh, she
Good.
can hear.
Right?
$40.
Right?
She can hear.
See? You can't beat that.
I have mine stored on my Facebook page. Somebody posted her husband's name. And I contacted the woman in Messenger. And I said, when can I get an appointment? She said, yeah, today at 7:30. I was like, PM? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, he works at 7:30 PM on a Saturday? She's like, yeah. Okay, but the wedding was kind of crappy, so then she offered me Sunday at 4:30. But then I got back a little bit late Saturday night. It was around 8:20. She's like, oh,
I can't do anything.
Come
No,
now.
I can't.
Lucky I did, because the next day.
It snowed,
It snows. So we're-
right?
Like, how perfectly, like.
See?
lined up was I?
See? It comes. When you let it, it comes.
And he was like, I had no idea what his name was. I was like, I had been talking to her. And I was like, so what's his name?
Does he have a card?
I'll call you again. Or I'll message you again in the spring.
Right? Wouldn't it be nice if they messaged you? You should say to her, do you have a service where, like, you contact me to organize taking them off again? Right? Right? $40. Like, man, seriously, right?
You have all this stuff in the back of the Jeep.
Right? Perfect. I think that's perfect. Business. Yeah. Well, and he probably does it all cash, and right?
He also cleans gutters. He has a side job, and he also cleans everything.
Nice.
Not touch shoes. I guess he worked in the oil field. Alberta. He's keeping himself busy. He's like, oh, he's saving up for a day.
Well, and he's probably one of those people you could get to do anything you wanted him to do. Just say, well, what would you charge me to do whatever? You know,
Get your honeydew list done.
right? Well, he's probably handy, you know? So
Seven, all right.
people like that are nice to know. I have one, but you know,
Do you two?
no, I really don't.
She's lending him a.
Well, all right. Are we all set? Perfect timing. Okay. All right, pay attention to your breath. Joe's asleep already. You should have brought the pillow, man. You might decide to do that. Tonight, we're going to work on attracting quality people in your life. Yeah, because I've heard a lot on that topic. Yeah. Estrella came in, she said, my stomach's upset. Are you doing something about tribe? Yeah, that's kind of a tribe thing. I'd have to call that a tribe thing. Right?
It's not how I want to build my tribe.
No. Right? So there's a whole bunch of pieces to this, and I'm sure more pieces will bubble up as we go. So let's start with, let's start by making a ball of light and just set it spinning. Either clockwise or counterclockwise. When you do your ball of light, always going parallel to the floor like a hula hoop. Because if you do front to back or back to front, like it's a vacuum for energy. So always going parallel. Doesn't matter if you go clockwise or counterclockwise.
What if you're lying down?
Orient it to your pelvis.
Oriented to, thank you, not to the ground.
Not to the ground. Orient it to your pelvis. To you. You are the center of the universe. And yeah. So if you think it's that vacuum effect goes if you follow your spine either direction. So if you're lying down, you still don't want to be going with your spine. So perpendicular to your spine, if you will. Hula hoop. Hula hoop. And then let's put all kinds of good stuff in the light. Put acceptance, approval, and love. Put comfort, put detox. Let's put a little chaos energy in there just for fun. Because that's infinite potential. So I want you to think about the fact that when you start out coming here, if you come in as a conception, you're going from being spirit, which is one with, to this perception of separation. Part of that human experience is have to have that experience of your distinctness so that you can, because if you're one with and somebody's had an experience of wearing a red hat, then you've had the experience of wearing a red hat. So part of coming and having a human life is to be able to wear your own red hat and know what that is for you. Okay? So even though when you're in that universal consciousness, you are distinct, because you're aware of all of those, everything, it's different than the human perception of distinct. Because it feels separate. It isn't, but it sure feels like it. And unless you're going around paying attention to your love lines all the time, you typically feel yourself as distinct. Okay? So you're giving me this curious look, like, what does that mean? Okay, good. You just looked really puzzled for a minute there. That's okay. Well, so if you pay attention to the love lines all the time, so we did them in Rebel, we've done them several times here. That's okay. Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's okay. You might have been asleep with Joe. Right? Not a problem. So at the end of the Rebel workshop, one of the things that we did was, find the line that connects you to a person. Now strip away everything except the love line. Because everything you're stripping away is the assumptions, the requirements, all that stuff. And what you're left with is that namaste, soul to soul, there's always love. And the purpose of experiencing that is to realize that there's always love in the love line, regardless of what's going on with the other person. Regardless. And it's to show you, like, that love is available to you, regardless of what they're capable of, and even regardless of what you're capable of. So it's challenging. It's actually very challenging, because once you feel that love, you realize there really are no requirements. There is really no need to conform, because the love is there regardless. And it just flows into you regardless. They could hate you, and it could be your sister-in-law, and the love will flow in regardless. Anybody, because they have a soul. That doesn't mean you want to have dinner with them. That doesn't mean they're your friend. If they have a soul, they are a source of love for you. And that's our challenge. Okay, so let's do that, because maybe people have forgotten. So we have a line, we have a circle going. So if you're going to start out to do this exercise, put yourself in a ball of light, and then think of somebody. And for the first experience of it, let's pick someone fairly neutral. Not someone you're real close to, not someone you hate. Just pick someone fairly neutral. And allow yourself to perceive all the lines of connection between you and that person. And there's going to be lots. There's going to be roles. There's going to be assumptions. There's going to be social stuff. There's all kinds of energy flow between you and anybody. Anybody you pick off the street. Now, if you're curious about all these different lines, you can use the technique we used last time, which you can figure out later, which is just, if you see a line there and you're wondering, why do I have that line? Just touch it and say, what is that? So pick a line and just touch it. What is that? Why is this here? And just for fun, because we're looking, notice if there's any lines that look like they're sucking any energy from you. Now, the concept of energy vampires is a long-standing one. The fact is, nobody can take your energy. They can't. They don't have dominion over your energy. You're the only one who has dominion. However, you can feel like it's being taken. And if you believe it, then you make it true. So notice if there's any lines that look like they're kind of sucking you dry, and then touch it. Say, what is that? Why is this happening? What is its purpose for me? And keep asking why. If you want to release a line, then you want to release it with love. Because if you just kind of say, oh, that's a bad line, and you try and yank it out, then that leaves a wound. And that's not, so you want to think, this is here for a reason, and it's you who have the reason. You're the one who has the reason for every line that's there. So it could be a belief, it could be an expectation, could be an obligation you feel, all kinds of things. So if you want to release that, what you want to do is think of, basically, how do I release this with love? Does it mean that there's a perception in your mind that needs to change? Does it mean that you have to change a belief that you have? And it's understanding that this line is anchored to you because of your reality, your self-image. Nobody can do it to you. If you feel the line and you keep asking, like, why is this here? I got it. And just keep asking why until you can see, oh, this is why. This is the piece. This is what I need. Like, if you keep asking why, you'll get to the place of, oh, that's why I'm doing that. And then you can decide if you're ready to release it or not. And it's okay if you're not. It's about telling the truth. Oh, they could be fire hoses. They could be. Yep, exactly. And it tells you something about your belief system if they're really, really big, right? You know, the thing is, you're the one who put it in place. Nobody can do this to you. So it's asking yourself, like, why have I put this in place? What's it doing for me? Why do I think I need this? Right? What's it sustaining for me? Right? That's it. And there's no point trying to beat yourself into submission because it's there for your reasons. You have a reason for having this in place. If you want to release it, then you have to look at, why do you have this reason? It's serving you. It's probably a coping mechanism. And you have to go back to the root of it if you want to release it, because you have to literally change your mind, right? Change what you believe. There's implications for what part of the body the line comes out of. I mean, it means something. Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. It definitely means something. Right? The body is really, really, really literal. So all of those expressions we have, like, oh, that person's a pain in the ass or a pain in the neck, really literal. Right? And yes.
I know what the words mean, but I don't know what it means.
Okay.
I keep saying the one line that's like cold status. It's like a frozen line.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the warm pressure that line does.
Yeah.
And I know it's status, and then it's cold status, but my brain's like, duh.
Okay. So if you think very literal, body's really literal. So cold status would be like the status that comes with a position but no caring. So school principal, like they get rotated every few years. Doesn't matter how good a job, doesn't matter who likes them or doesn't. They get rotated at least every 6 years. That's cold status. Because it doesn't matter how good a job you do, you're going to be moved out of it. How does it apply to you? It's kind of like being a daughter-in-law. So a daughter-in-law, if you don't have a personal relationship in the family, then you have the status of being the wife of, but you have no status as a person. Right? They don't see you as a person. They don't care about you as a person. You have this status only because of your position. Right? And so now think about that in terms of roles. Right?
That's fascinating if you think about the military, because they rotate them every couple of years.
Yep, every couple of years. They're not allowed to build personal relationships, because if they did, the personal relationships could override the hierarchy. So that's actually a threat, and that would be a reason to rotate them, right? We don't want personal relationships to have more loyalty than the position, right? Right? So, interesting, right?
So, and also if that is an example of interact, it also means that we're limiting our connection.
Yes. Yes. Tonight's going to be a lot about connection.
I've not been able to connect. I've
Judy, I tried with you, and I got the feeling of I don't have the right to affect them.
You can't help but affect them.
But it was like, I'm not supposed to, I would destroy something, or, so obviously that says something.
Yes, it does. And that's actually, we're going to cover that. Pick someone who's not here.
Still,
Yep, I get it. We are going to cover that.
does that have to be human?
Nope,
Okay.
does not. So you see all those other connections, and just for the purpose of what we're doing now, just focus on finding the love line. So there's always a love line. And let yourself find the love line and notice that there's flow in the love line. Love can come from this love line regardless of what's going on with the other person, and in point of fact, regardless of what's going on with you. The challenge people have with this is that we have been taught that there are so many requirements for accessing love that the idea that it just exists unconditionally is a little freaky, right? Because it means you don't have to do anything to get love. You don't have to be a certain way or act a certain way. There's nothing you have to do. It simply is. It's not about the quality of you or the quality of the other person. It simply exists because you have a soul. And that's independent of their character or your character. It's independent of circumstances. There are lots of other interactions and lots of other connections that can happen because of character or circumstances or roles or relationships and all the rest of it. But the love line is independent of all that. If you believe they have a soul,
Anything with the soul.
anything with a soul. And it's up to you whether you believe they have a soul or not. As much as I'd get burned at the stake for this, I have yet to meet an animal that didn't have one.
That's great. Well, that aligns with all of them.
Yeah.
Christian spirituality.
But wouldn't that be the same as like a tree or a flower?
Yep.
Or the earth.
Yep. Very much so. Very much so. So if you find that love line and just let yourself feel that love, independent of whatever other connections are there. If you want to, you can use the love in the love line to melt all the other lines. It's an interesting exercise because it removes all the requirements. It removes all the other, it removes the roles, it removes everything, and just allows you to have that experience of this just is. Right? That may or may not feel comfortable at the moment. Okay. Because that wasn't complicated enough. So leave that one in place, with that love line in place. Now let's put another one.
Same person?
Nope. Different person, different critter, different. Margot, it'll be easier for you if they don't know anything about energy. Just until we get to that other piece, which we will.
People that I don't know well might.
Yeah.
be easy.
It will be easier. And again, notice the lines that exist. See if any of them look like they're, pulling from you. If they are, touch the line and say, so what's that? What's it doing for me? Why do I have this? And you may or may not want to let that one dissolve. Depends on if it feels comfortable letting that go at the moment. Check and find the love line. And let yourself be aware of the flow that's in the love line. Now do a third one. Keep it simple. Notice all the lines. Check and see if any of them feel like they're dragging on you. If they are, find out what's going on with that. What purpose is it serving for you? And find the love line. That's it. Okay, we need 2 more. We're going to have a total of 5, apparently. Check for lines that feel draining and find the love line. Okay, so we're going to leave those in place. We've got the light spinning through you and around you. And these will provide you with information as we talk further. So we're going to talk a little bit about effect. So one of the challenges we have is that as spiritual people, we tend to believe that what we want is a peaceful life. We say that a lot. Oh, I just want to live in peace and everybody's so negative. You know, I just want to have everything positive. And the problem is, sorry? Everybody's going for the water glass. Well, the fun part is it's just not true. Could be vodka. Okay, then. It's that bad. Or that good, depending on how you look at it. So the problem is, if we really, really wanted peace, we'd have it. And I think most of us believe that peace is boring. Right? So there's a challenge that I was meditating the other day, a couple of days ago, and I was looking at places where I was looking at drama stuff, you know, because I always am cautious with the drama. And I found this chunk of drama, and I thought, okay, so look and see how that's rooted. And I was all set to release it. And what came into my head was, but if I release that, won't movies get really boring? And I was actually quite like, what? You know, I get a lot of stuff in my head. I'm like, what? Why would movies be boring? And I already have trouble with TV and movies. I already do, because I understand way too much about how people tick and what's going on. So first of all, after about 3 minutes of any show, I probably know how it's going to end. And all of anybody who watches movies like, shut up, just don't tell us. Because I know. Ugh. And I don't mean to be a spoiler. It's like, oh, they're going to do this and then that'll happen. And so, like, I've learned, don't say it. Nobody wants to hear that because they don't all know. And I can see the interactions before they're coming. So it gets boring, right? So unless the writer is really good, I'm bored. And waste, right? Like, I already know what's going to happen. I don't need to watch it. Some of them, yeah, a lot of, right? So unless the writer is entertaining, because in the end, like, it's that, you know, there's nothing new under the sun anyway. So unless the writer's entertaining, and so I'm looking for, yes, I want an engaging story, but I want to be entertained along the way. And that's what does it for me, right? So if they can twist things so that it's looking at it a different way, that entertains me, but it's their skill as a storyteller. Mostly it's way too predictable. So I remember being in a conference for writers, and this big name writer was talking about, you know, how to write better. And she said, if you dig a hole for your characters so that they're in a hole, then because you get attached to the characters you're writing about, your inclination is to rescue them. And if you want to write a good book, you have to kick dirt in their face. And just increase the conflict, because if you rescue them, the story's over. It's done, you know, like this, you know, so the arc of the story is the arc of the conflict, right? So if we have peace, there's no story. If we have peace, there's nothing to entertain us. Right? So it sounds horrible until you realize that the purpose of being here in a human form is to have experience. And although people say stop and smell the roses, like, once you've smelled the roses, you want to do the next thing. Okay, did that, what's next? What's next? It doesn't take long to get bored. It doesn't take long to say, I want to learn a new thing, or try a new thing, you know, or do something different. Like, what else is there? We want the stimulation.
It isn't predictable, so it keeps us safe.
So for your subconscious, it wants to recreate what you've already survived. But remember, it's not recreate the story, it's recreate the emotional dynamic. You know, so if you grew up being criticized, then, you know, you can find 100 new ways to be criticized. It wants you to keep being criticized until you release that pattern and teach yourself to be safe with other options besides being criticized, right? So that's the insight we have, which is understanding your subconscious is going to put the same emotional dynamic in, whatever trip you decide to take to whatever location. And so the allowing yourself having different emotional dynamics can actually be perceived as a threat until you teach yourself to feel safe. The challenge is to pause and consider what you actually want. So I started out the night saying we're going to talk about bringing quality people into your life. And I want you to pause and consider what that means to you. What does it mean to bring quality people into your life? So a lot of people will say to me, well, I want people who have similar beliefs, that I could talk to them about all the stuff that I'm exploring and learning and whatever, right? Except a lot of spiritual people, part of their self-image is that they're different. And you can't be the different one if you surround yourself with people who have similar beliefs. Right? Now, here's another fun piece. When you're a little kid and you're a dependent, okay, you're surrounded by people who are saying, be what we want you to be, conform to the tribe. So your comfort zone is to feel like people can't see who you are, people don't accept who you are, they don't love you for who you are. So if you bring like-minded people into your life who actually appreciate you, it breaks that comfort zone. You're much more comfortable feeling like the odd man out, feeling like nobody gets you, feeling like there's no one to talk to you about, what you care about, what you think, because that's what you felt like when you were a kid. So what is quality people? So pause and think what you believe about what you want to attract. And then pause and consider what you actually have in your life, because you know how it works. What you actually have in your life is what you want. And there's a reason for that. Sometimes the reason is so you can beat yourself up. Familiar. Comfort zone is familiar, man. Even if it's not, the comfort zone doesn't have to be comfortable. Right? 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 Now, here's another fun piece. When you were a little kid and you were doing the, why doesn't anybody see me? Why don't they love me for who I am? And you learned to feel rejected. Okay? You learned to feel rejected. So that will be part of what you recreate. You also learned to want that feeling of connection, to want someone to come along who would appreciate you. And so wanting it is part of the comfort zone. Wanting it and not getting it. You may not even get to seek. Because if you're a dependent child, you may not even allow yourself to get to a seek. You may just yearn, right? Because seek can be more active, right?
So it's more like a coveting.
It's a yearning, right? It's that painful yearning that like you don't even know how to act on.
You can't even think what you want because it's dangerous to think of it.
Right? So it's like there's an ache in your heart and you don't even know, you can't articulate what could even be about. Right? So the challenge becomes allowing yourself to actually feel appreciated, feel nurtured, feel comforted by other people, because those things are not familiar and they're not comfortable. And the fun part is, even if you have good relationships, you'll find places to put little episodes of pain so you don't get too comfortable, right? Because you're going to have really great people in your life and think, yeah, but there's a yeah, but, right? And that yeah, but allows you to stay in that comfort zone. So now, just for fun, you have 5 different people with all these different connector lines and a love line. Have a look at all those different connector lines and see how much of this is articulated in those. Where are the lines that are about your self-image of being different? Because if you need to be different, it's hard to have intimacy, right? So just check the 5 that you brought into place and just see what's there. What lines are in place with these 5 people that are there so that you can sustain the feeling of being different, of being separate, of being either not seen or not understood or not heard, or whatever it is that's part of your perception of how normal is in your interactions.
We don't remember the people, can we just do it from ourselves?
Yeah. And you don't have to know if you just touch the line and ask it, right? So if you say, show me, the lines are there. That's okay. That's actually usually your mind getting out of the way, right? Because sometimes thinking about it, it just gets in your way, and you just need to.
It's like I'm afraid to.
That doesn't mean you won't. You're always afraid to when you come here. Doesn't mean you don't do it.
Just here.
Yes, I get that. The thing is, you still go because the energy shifts. I see it, right? And I think anybody who's been around for any number of years can remark on how far you've come. It's pretty remarkable. Yeah. I remember when Andre came the other year, and she walked up to you and she said, I can't believe you. You have changed so much. And she hadn't seen you in person for like, I don't know, 7 years. Right?
I was pregnant for Andy, he was 29.
So,
I would have just married Steve.
so it's all happening.
Is that rebel, needing to not fit in?
Yes. And the origin place there. So Rebel is a conform program, and it protects the tribe from you because you feel unable to meet the requirements.
You reject the tribe before they can reject you?
Well, Rebel is still a conform program. So Rebel is you reject the requirements because you feel you can't meet them. You're protecting the tribe from your inability to meet their requirements. So you withdraw from the tribe and you withdraw from the resources rather than take their resources without meeting their requirements.
Fulfilling yourself,
Right?
Which is exactly what she said earlier.
Yes.
about Not wanting to take from somebody else, connecting even,
Exactly.
because you were worried about your effect on that.
Pure
Sees himself as a threat.
Pure rebel. Right? And so that's the challenge because rebel always looks like, screw you, you can't make me. Well, and you're actually protecting the tribe and protecting the resources of the tribe by withdrawing yourself from those resources simply because you cannot meet their requirements.
Does it start though by not meeting your own requirements? That makes sense.
It does. I was thinking how to frame it. So it is your own requirement to be in conform. Rebel is still a conform program. So it's how you allow yourself to be part of the tribe okay? When you believe you cannot meet the requirements, right? So if you can't meet the requirements, then you feel like you can't be accepted. Then how do you even have any kind of connection to the tribe? So this becomes the you can't make me connection, right?
It's the same as what you're saying, though, the not.
Right? So it's your perception that who you are is not acceptable, right?
Is that also the same as being different?
It's your definition of different. It's your definition of not acceptable. And one of the things to understand is that like little kids aren't necessarily strategic, especially if they're forbidden to be. I mean, I think kids can be really wily and tricky and all kinds of, like they can be very, very clever unless they're forbidden to be, right? So if you're told, this is how you behave and there's no room there to be strategic, then the strategic is forbidden, right? Yes.
No, just very good peripheral vision on your part.
Oh.
So how do you change that, is to say it doesn't matter what those requirements are, I'm okay?
So it's you have to define your requirements for you to be part of the tribe.
And it might be only a part of what we think the tribe wants.
So it's saying I define my requirements for being in the tribe. Their requirements are simply information. It helps to know their requirements because then you can be strategic with that information. But what you're saying is they don't define the requirements for being in the tribe. I do.
And if I define them and I'm part of the tribe, and part of my definition is I have access to resources.
Exactly.
So I can put on a nice dress and go to the party and get the birthday presents.
Yes.
And go home and go,
Yes. Yeah. And here's the thing is that can all come from love. Right? Because this is the thing is that whatever they have for requirements, it's coming from their own perceptions, and it has very little to do with reality. When you define how you will, if you say, well, this is how I define my requirements of myself as daughter or friend or whatever, you want that to come from love because it's an expression of who you are. It does not require you to pay any prices. It does not require you to have cost. It's understanding this is an expression. This is how I love. And part of loving is I don't let you hurt me. Right?
in the case of my mother yesterday, and
Yeah.
writing to my brother, I can love her,
Yes.
but I'm not responsible for her.
Yes. You can't change her outcome.
And
Right?
I can choose when I visit, and
Yes.
if I don't visit, well, I gave you the pamphlet that says how to get services.
Yes. And it's up to you to decide what feels right for you. Right? You have to decide what feels right for you. Because I got to tell you, if you try to meet other people's requirements, you're setting yourself up. You can't do it. You cannot do it because they will be a bottomless pit simply because of their own fear and issues. Right? So if you're not defining for yourself your requirements of yourself in the role, then you're always under attack. Always. Right? If you haven't defined for yourself your requirements in the role, then you're a sand dune. You're always going to be being pushed around, right? At least if you have defined for yourself, then when they try to inflict something on you, you have somewhere to stand from. Yeah. Okay, so you were looking at the connections for your self-image. Now, look at the connections to see where you're putting your need for entertainment and stimulation and drama. I think people grossly underestimate how much entertainment they want. Really grossly underestimate it.
It's intertwined.
Yeah, see? It can't take it over. You can wrap it around if you want to. Like it's wrapped right around. Yeah.
All of them are.
Interesting, hey? We want people to entertain us. So here's the thing. Every experience you have of yourself is in relation to. It's in relation to. You can't be tall unless somebody's short. You can't be short unless somebody's tall. How you experience yourself is through, right? It's through other people, it's through activities, it's through living, right? So every person gives you an experience of yourself. That's why you have them.
Is this the purpose of living quality people, so that we experience ourselves as quality?
Well, isn't it interesting? And so this is because people will say, well, the people in my family are so negative. Well, that gives you a great contrast, right? It can also give you memos for where those things are still anchored inside you, right? It can also be vastly entertaining, right? I know people will say, well, I love to watch, I don't know, Big Brother. I love to watch Big Brother because there's all this, basically infighting, I call it. Why would you ever need to turn on the TV for that? There's people, like there's people all around you. I promise you there's lots of fighting going on. And so one of the things about watching it on TV, whether people watch soap operas or reality shows or whatever, is that they get to watch it at a distance and they don't have to feel that their territory is under threat.
Not emotionally involved.
You're not engaged, right? You can turn it off, right? So it's a way to process emotion and having experiences of emotion without having a threat. So the interesting thing about that is, so if you see someone on the TV show and they're going through, I don't know, heartbreak, there's nothing for you to do about that. They're over there, they're on the TV. Now, I mean, some people do. I mean, some people write letters and all kinds of stuff, whatever. But bottom line, most people, the TV is a barrier. And they don't feel a need to, they will engage emotionally, they'll get upset about it, they'll do all kinds of things. But in the end, they turn it off. So there's no threat to their territory. There's no demand on their resources. There's no intimacy. Because if you had someone in your life that was close to you and they had heartbreak, you probably would want to fix it. Right? You'd probably want to fix it because it hurts to watch someone you care about have their heart broken. Fact. It hurts, and that's important. It's important to recognize that lots of times people's interactions cause you pain. And we don't want to engage because we're afraid of the pain. We don't want to feel the pain. So you avoid feeling the connection, you avoid feeling the stimulation because there's going to be pain. And we're used to not being able to take care of ourselves. We're used to not being able to protect ourselves. And we're used to other people's pain having a tremendous cost.
Can pain not be entertaining?
Absolutely. People climb Mount Everest. They have all sorts of pain. Right?
There's a difference between hurt and harm.
Yes.
Choice.
Yep.
So in 35 years of marriage, we had a few fights. Because if you spoke up, that was a problem. So you shoved it down and everybody knew, but nobody spoke about it. And it was all just there churning and making life miserable.
Yep.
So looking at it, it looks like it's level. There's no big jumps and downs, but you don't get the highs
Either.
if you don't know to know.
That's right.
Because there was no honest emotion
Nope.
for generations.
Ev-
Now, I'm calling those things,
yes,
and that's inconvenient too.
it is.
For some.
Yep.
How do you call it? Just say, tell the truth, or?
Yeah, I think it's when something bugs me. I mean, after 30 years of marriage, as you know, you see patterns, right? I'm really tired of the pattern where I get yeses to anything I ask, but then nothing happens. And I'm just tired of that. So what does yes mean? And I think this is the weave stuff. I mean, I've started calling him out on these things. Okay, so what does that mean? Because it clearly doesn't mean yes, as I understand yes.
Yes means wah, wah, wah.
Right.
Yes, please not. Or yes is what you want to hear, so I'm going to give you what you want to hear.
So yes is a form of escalation.
And you're
In that case, actually, yes is a form of canceling escalation, right? Because what's actually happening when he says yes, he actually means no, but he won't say no because that would escalate, right? Make sense?
yes, but he's
It is.
terrible at saying no. Because it would have meant, well, he kept himself alive as a child, not saying no.
There's a lot of drama that I can't stand, backbiting, that type stuff. I see that in many cases of, you do that so you don't have to speak the truth.
Yeah.
That's why it just,
It's ritual.
yeah.
Ritual interaction, right? So it's just as much a ritual as hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? I'm fine. Completely ritual, completely fake. You know, a lot of snarking can be ritual as well, just as fake. Doesn't mean anything either.
Be honest with yourself or the other person.
Pat has a question.
Yeah.
So if I'm attracted to certain people who are an experience of myself and I like them, I'm attracting people who have something about them that reminds me unconsciously of myself.
If you're attracted to someone, then they're giving you an experience of yourself that you want. That can be a positive or a negative. You could be attracted to someone who beats you over the head with a stick if that's the experience of yourself that you want. So if you're calling it a positive, if you're saying, I'm attracted to someone that give me an experience I like, you know, you're calling that a positive. It just means that's the part of you that you want to experience. Be aware that that means that the things that you want memos about, things that you want to be paying attention to, for instance, to heal them, you'll put them somewhere else. So like, one of the things that can be really convenient is if like you say, okay, I'll get my memos, I don't know, from work so that the family life can be nice and peaceful, right? That can be very convenient, right? Or you could say, I remember I had one person and all of her drama was about where she lived. So every time she moved apartments, she'd have like these lots of drama. The neighbors would be horrible for all sorts of reasons, or the landlord would be horrible, and she'd end up moving again. The thing is, she didn't put it in her relationships and she didn't put it in her workplace. Everything was about where she lived. Once she figured that out, she was able to stop doing it and say, okay, I can put it somewhere else now, right?
Does it have to be somewhere else?
If you want memos, you have to give yourself a place to put them. The thing is, you get memos from watching movies. It doesn't have to be live, you know?
So all the times that I stop in the book and write things down.
Yes.
It resonates.
That's exactly right.
So without the high highs and the low lows, we're all flatlined.
That's what would happen. Then you get the cubicle life, right? And the cubicle life happens because you're afraid. You're afraid of the highs, you're afraid of the lows.
So you
And-
stop interacting at all.
And you just want everything to be numb.
That's what a bunch of the antidepressants do.
A lot of the antidepressants are numbing,
But you don't cause a problem.
right?
Sugar is very numbing too.
Sugar's very numbing,
Chocolate's good.
right?
Yes, I brought some.
So when people make you crazy, there's a reason. They can be specific people in your life who are bugging you, or it can be people in general. People are stupid and look who they voted for, and all those different things that we say about people. When people bug you, it is a memo, and it is something that either you don't want to look at, or you don't want to admit about what you want in your life. I mean, I don't know, what would the newscasters do if they didn't have politicians to talk about, right? Right? Yes.
When I listen to the tapes, like back 8 years ago, and I hear Paul's voice, I get really pissed off. But now, when he speaks, it doesn't bug me the same.
So when you think of 8 years ago, you're thinking of the person you were then. So when you hear him talk, you're remembering the effect that had on you then. So you have to take your empowerment now and bring it back to that version of you. Right?
I just realized that the other day.
Because the emotion that's coming up is not from you today.
No,
It's from the 8 years ago you.
Because he's changed too.
Yep. Right?
So we also want to be attracting empowered people.
Well, so understand, you're going to attract all kinds of different experiences. And I think this is the same as when people say, oh, I just want everything in my life to be peaceful. No, you don't. That'd be boring. Okay? So if you only attract empowered people, then where are you going to get your memos? Right? And you can get them from novels and movies. It's just understand that your default place to put these experiences is in interactions. And even if you do the shifting, how do you learn the new strategies? How do you figure out how to deal with narcissists if you don't have one to play with? Well, is it? Depends on what you want to play with, right? It could. It could totally change minute to minute.
Our definition of quality.
That's
Change
it.
with whatever we want it to do.
See?
I'm only going to talk to people with red sweaters.
Right? Ding. Now you're getting it.
It just struck me, with all the people in the United States who feel they have no power, vote for someone who feels he has absolute power.
Ta-da!
Oh,
He represents having
if
absolute
he
power.
represents what they don't have.
Yeah,
What would he think? His own
Well,
perception.
that's true. Yeah, exactly.
So this is really interesting. So this idea that you don't have what you want in your life is just not true. Every time you think, I don't have what I want in my life, you have to pause and say, that's not true. I have exactly what I want. Now, if I don't like it, then what do I need to change in me to change what I have in my life? What do I need to change in me to change what I have in my life?
So if I want to change from having less people who need to be abusers, so that I can be the victim, because that's the comfortable role, how would you?
Or the hero? Well, because if you have people who are abusers, by default, you're making them villain.
Right. Oh.
So you either want to be a victim or you want to be a hero. And so this is an interesting dynamic, okay? If you want to call people the bad guy, which we frequently do, then you're either in victim or you're in hero. If you go back to the Science of No, where he talks about the triangle, if you want to be true to yourself, you actually have to have those points in balance, right? If you're on any of the corners, you're actually in trouble. So the minute you're calling someone a villain, you're forcing yourself out of balance.
But is that not also what entertains us?
Yes.
Be forced out of balance.
Yes.
Is balance boring too?
Apparently. Right? Right? And so part of that then becomes, okay, so what if you were in balance? Then how would you entertain yourself? Because I got to tell you, if you look at the movies and the books and all the rest of it, there tends to be a villain. There tends to be heroes and victims. Like that's the dynamic we know. That's why that triangle works so well. Right?
And that's why the movies end with happily ever after, because it's boring after that.
Right?
Conflict.
Right?
So how do we be in balance and be entertained?
See?
Would we, if we're in balance, to find entertainment, we could find other experiences.
But if we were in balance and could figure that out, or put it up on the shelf so we knew where to find it,
Yes.
then you can go out and have an experience, but you would have the opportunity of coming back to balance.
If
That's.
I don't know why you think, okay, sure you can do that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Or you could just stay in balance and have new experiences.
Oh, okay, so you can.
Right?
You can,
Like why does an experience require you to be out of balance?
so it's yes and, yeah,
Right?
okay. Nice.
Right? Sure. You could be totally in balance and meet someone who has had experiences you've never had and just opens your mind to new possibilities. It'd be like somebody who showed you new colors. What about that? You don't have to be out of balance to have that experience.
No, I'm just thinking if I shift it so that I'm trying to figure out how I can work this mistake. You're right here.
Right?
Yeah.
So part of this is understand. So if you go victim, villain, hero, understand the other pieces of it. So if you find yourself, like you want to villainize someone so you can be the good guy, they're a bad guy, I will stand up, like if you're doing that, okay, then what you're missing is respect. Respect is every choice is right, regardless of the outcome.
And his contribution is right.
Okay, and you choose how to interact with it. If you find yourself falling into victim, why are they doing this to me? And why does my life suck and like that? Again, then it's about contribution, okay? And the healthy contribution is expression of self. So it's when you feel like a victim, it actually means you believe someone is curtailing your expression of self. That's on you, right? So if we say, okay, really, I only ever want to wear red, but the uniforms at work are blue, then you're turning them into victims so that villains, so you can be victim. All right. So then you have to go back to why do I think my expression requires me to be in red? Like, why am I doing that to myself? Why am I forcing myself into the victim per se? And I could wear red earrings, or something, right? Right? Right?
I'm confused how that works with conform. Because I guess I think that if I'm conforming to what he wants, then, because I'm finding things that, the layers, if I'm conforming to what he wants in terms of the role and such, then I guess my brain's going, I'm being a victim.
Ah.
Is that how that's?
Okay. So only if you don't see a choice.
Yeah, which I didn't.
Right. And
Until now.
okay. So, and so here's the thing is that you can see what somebody wants and choose that expression. That doesn't make it wrong.
But then it comes from love, or does it come from?
It comes from choice. It's a totally a choice.
Or does it come from need to comply or some of these other safety fear things?
Well, that's the whole point, does it? And how you can test that is the other choice available? Right? Are they available to you, or are they just an idea that is inaccessible? Could you do that? And be aware, every choice has a price. Every choice has a price. So you could think, I don't know, I want to have sex with 1,000 guys before I die.
People do.
And you can say, but I'm in this relationship that's monogamous and it needs to be monogamous for whatever reasons. So what's more important? You have to decide. If you decide the monogamous relationship is important to you, the price is you're giving up all that, other people's sex. If you decide this is not working for me. This is truly my dream to have sex with 1,000 people. Then you need to do something about this relationship because it doesn't have space for that. It's up to you. And so if you say,
It's either to give it up or to go.
it's you decide. It's you to decide. It's you.
choose to get that experience through reading or watching movies.
Or fantasy.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean,
You could totally have fantasy. You could get them to wear a football helmet some nights, but like whatever,
Or just imagine a different face.
right? The thing is, it's understanding the choice is yours. Every choice has a price. When you try to deny the price, you're in trouble. You're in trouble because that's automatic victim. When you're trying to say, I shouldn't have to pay a price, if this is what I want, I shouldn't have to pay a price. That actually denies responsibility. Because everything you do has an effect. Now we're back to effect, Margot. Everything you do has an effect. Yep. Because you said, I can't do that because there's an effect and I feel like I'm not allowed to have the effect. So I said, every choice has a price. So if you're sitting in a monogamous marriage going, but I really want to have sex with 1,000 guys before I die, so I'm being persecuted. Well, no, you're not. It's your choice. And it's understanding that you're the one who's making the choice. And people make up all these stories. Well, I would do what I want, except I have these children, or I would do what I want, except I can't afford it. They make up a story. And the bottom line is, every time you try to attribute the choice to something outside yourself, you're abdicating your responsibility. It's your choice. You're there because you want to be. And if you say, well, I don't want to give up, I don't want to give up affluent living or something. Well, okay, fine, but don't blame somebody else for that. That's your choice. That's your choice. It's okay to make that choice. Just understand that's the choice you're making. And then don't say, well, I should have done this, because no, you made a choice. Every choice has a price. Telling the truth about the price is actually what frees you. Telling the truth about the price is what frees you, because if you don't tell the truth about the price, you're wounded. Okay? Everything you do has an effect. Every choice you make has a price. Every choice you make has an effect. Here's the thing. No one is a victim of your choice, because they have a choice too. No one is a victim of your choice because they have a choice too. And immediately everybody wants to say, except for the children, because, they could be independent and not have a choice. Do you know how often I'll say, okay, let's go back to that place where you were, 4 years old or whatever. You could have stuck a fork in their eye. And we forget that even the child has a choice. The thing is, you may not feel like you have a choice. The child may not feel like they have a choice. That doesn't mean it's true. They probably, if they were trained to think they didn't have a choice when they were 4, they probably don't feel like they have a choice now. Right? Yep. Right?
What's the third one? Villain, victim, and
Hero.
hero. Of course it would.
So, healthy hero. Every choice is right.
Hero, heroine, same thing.
Yes. Healthy hero is about respect. Okay? Villain is the ability to impose your will.
Yeah.
So it's the power place. The ability to impose your will. It's the position of choice. That's the power place. Because I got to tell you, you make choices, somebody's going to call you a bad guy. Right? That's why we have so much trouble with having an effect. Get that dot? We have so much trouble with having an effect because inevitably somebody's going to call you the bad guy.
Even if you just sit there and never say anything.
Okay? So when you said, I feel like I can't do that because it would have an effect, that's you saying, I've been trained to never be anybody's villain. I've been trained Choices are not accessible to me because somebody might call it wrong.
And doing so would require responsibility,
Okay?
which I
Not allowed.
avoided.
Well, started
I
out
was responsible, but I had no control.
not allowed, right? So responsible is choosing your effect.
Oh, so why would you have responsibility if you weren't allowed to choose your effect?
Okay? So yes, and so understand, you always have an effect. Being responsible is telling the truth about that.
And I've always thought of responsibility as a bad thing, as a burden, because in the back of my mind, it's like, that's how I hid from having an effect.
Okay?
Is that right?
When in point of fact, it was forbidden.
Well,
Yeah.
I think when I was a child, when I was responsible for something,
It was a
getting
punishment.
shit for it.
Yeah.
So we,
You wouldn't want to be.
and so that makes me realize that's why we're afraid that it
Yes.
will have an effect.
Yes.
because we're afraid
Somebody's going to call you the bad guy,
or somebody's gonna get hurt because we did something wrong.
which is the same thing as them calling you a bad guy.
Nobody
They're
told me-
pretending they're the victim of you.
Nobody told me it was I used 4 pieces of toilet paper instead of 2. But I knew it was my responsibility. I don't know where that comes from, but I remember something like that. So it's the responsibility without believing you have an effect.
Yeah. So codependent is when you take responsibility for an outcome you can't control. And our culture is so codependent.
So if the parent is wounded, that's all they know.
That's all they know. That's all they know.
And so much of responsibility was compliance.
Yes. That's what you're taught.
It
You're
was
taught,
responsibility to comply.
right?
Yeah.
Is responsibility equal to effect?
Responsibility is choosing your
Choosing
effect.
your effect.
Choosing your effect. And then you have to draw the little Venn diagram, okay?
Yep.
Which is your effect, their effect, and then the little intersection is outcome, because you cannot control the outcome. So the critical piece of understanding responsibility is to understand the edge. You can control your choices, you cannot control the outcome.
What I've been telling my son is that he needs to be, it's actually his job and his responsibility to test boundaries.
Yes.
It's actually his job.
Yep.
At his age, and he's supposed to be testing those things.
If you watch Uncle Buck, the kid says that right in the movie. I'm a kid. It's my job. Right?
So then he has to learn how to be strategic with those.
Right? And is this the effect you want to have? Right? And that's how they learn. And, you know, one of the problems we have with as parents is if we try to protect them from the outcome, they can't learn, they can't understand that they have an effect. Okay? So I want to do a campfire. So before we go there, we have some things to do. So I want you to look and see all of these 5 people that you have all these lines with. Look and see, is there a villain line? Is there a victim line? Is there a hero line? And that's where you're on that edge. They'll have whatever going on. So you may feel like you're their villain. Who knows what they think they are? They may think they're the hero. Who knows? So focus on what do you think is going on? What line do you find? And the line you find may be different than what you think. So that's an interesting discovery all by itself, right?
And victim is abdicating responsibility.
So victim is contribution with sacrifice.
I don't compute that in relation to, like, if I think that the neighbor's being mean to me, I feel like I'm a victim.
Yes. And so you're contributing by being the place they can be mean.
Yeah.
So that's your contribution with sacrifice. It doesn't make it not a contribution. It's still a contribution.
I don't think it's contribution.
Well, they need somebody to be mean to.
Oh, I'm I'm contributing by allowing them to dump on me.
Yes. You fulfill the role for them.
Okay,
They want to be villain. They need you.
okay. So to become
That was a ding.
not,
Sorry?
so to become not a victim in that, I believe I am accepting being a victim because that's what I was taught.
Yep.
And that goes in, I'm a victim because I'm not good enough and people don't like me and I don't fit in and all that other rebel stuff.
Right?
So if I clear the need to be a victim,
Yes,
then it changes. They can go find someone else to victimize.
they can.
What was your ding?
My thing was, I've been feeling bad by not letting certain people dump on me.
Yeah.
And I keep trying to rationalize, it's okay, it's the right thing for me to do.
Right.
So that is. So when you walk away and you go, no.
Yeah, not playing that
I'm
game.
not playing that game. I should,
No, they can find someone else. There's somebody out there just dying to play the game with them.
So if you have, say a person's in a workplace and it's like an abusive workplace, so the abused is giving them the abuser position.
Yes, they give them authority. Right? Because they can't abuse you unless you let them. There's always a way. There's always a way. And you don't have to break your job or anything. Like there's strategy. You have to be willing to break the dynamic to be able to see the strategy.
So that would explain some workplaces where, let's say there's 5 people in the workplace and the boss, but yet 4 of them seem to be abused and 1 doesn't.
Right? Because they're just not in that dynamic. Right? And I find, and this is one of the things, is that people, a lot of times when people want to not be in victim, they go to hero, and it's not better. Right? Because then they need victims. If you're a hero, you got to have victims and you got to have villains. You're forcing, other people into these dynamics, right?
But isn't not walking away also part of the staying flatline and not being in the interaction of the entertainment?
Now you're into territory, right? Because you can absolutely engage and be entertained or whatever. Is this where you want to put your resources? And it may be. You might say, yeah, this is frankly entertaining. I was talking to a couple and they mentioned somebody I used to know years ago. And I said, I have no desire. They said, oh, so-and-so asked after you, if you come down for dinner, we'll call her up. She can come over. No, if you call her up, I'm not coming to your house for dinner. They were like, they were so shocked. I said, I have no desire to interact with that person. None. They said, all right, we won't call her. Gee, okay, fine. And I said, life is full of drama, not interested. And they said, but it's so entertaining. Not for me. Have fun with that. You have fun. I actually said that. I said, I deal with this stuff for a living. I don't need it in my social life. Right.
But that's when I'm confused. You're talking about staying in balance.
So balance can still have entertainment. Entertainment does not have to put you out of balance. Why would it have to?
So why would leaving the relationship also put you out of balance? Like put you more in balance? Do you know what I mean?
Why do I not want this person in my life?
No, like how can you not stay in balance with that person still as an interaction?
I could. I just don't want to. Why would I bother? It's not my idea of a good time. They're not entertaining for me. They're annoying. So I don't have to be entertained by that person. I don't go to hockey either.
Still part of the contribution, though? This is what I'm
They're not in my territory, so I don't need to contribute to them. Okay.
It's not my problem.
Yeah. So ask me another way, because
Well, because we were talking about the drama.
Yep.
And being okay with the drama, because we still want that.
choosing. I choose the drama that's in my life.
Right.
That's not a form of drama that entertains me. There's other forms that do, so I have them.
Watching your kids play as adults can be a form of drama that's entertaining.
Oh yeah, teasing my kids about their relationships is a lot of fun.
But also keeping that person outside of the interaction, doesn't that also still then call them a victim, builder, hero?
No, they can do whatever they want. So if I said they're wrong, then I'd be having a problem because I'm judging what they're doing. I don't care what they do. I just don't want to be around it. I don't need to.
And that's just a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't hurt me if I was around it because I can deal with it.
That's what I mean, so.
So it doesn't bother me, but why would I spend my time that way? I just don't want to. So I'm equipped to deal with it completely.
Yeah.
Right? I just not my idea of a good time.
Okay.
But that's like hockey. I mean, I'm not entertained by hockey. And lots of people love hockey and hockey's fine and have fun with that. Not me, not interested. Right?
Today I'm going to wear rain boots, it's raining out.
Right? Well, and it's like, what color t-shirt? You know, I'm probably not going to wear yellow because I'll look really bad in it. I look like somebody,
Leave from work.
fact, right? Like if I want to look ill, all I got to do is wear yellow. Right?
Pat has a question. What does she do about her granddaughter's line, which is like a dashed line? Does the nature of the lines make a difference?
Well, if you read Chinese medicine, they would say that a dashed line is a yin line as opposed to a yang line. That's probably not where you're going. If it's an actual love line, it can't be dashed because it's independent of the person and it's independent of the relationship. So the line that's dashed is something else. It's not the love line. So I would suggest you touch it and ask it what it is. So a yin line, if it was a yin line, which is by their definition dashed, would be female energy, as opposed to yang as male. So that's just interesting factoid.
Yeah, quite separate from love versus.
Yeah, but it's definitely, if it's dashed, it's not a love line. So it's something else. So ask it what it is. And then you can follow that along. I mean, there are lots of expectations. Like, you know, it'll be things like, I don't know, you could go to lunch with a bunch of people and then somebody could get mad at you because you didn't go to the bathroom with them because you're a girl. Like, I'm a girl, I'm going to the bathroom, you should come with me. No, that's sorry, not in my requirements. But they will believe it, you know. So it's important to know information, right? And it's up to you to decide, you know, if you want to have that effect, for instance. So where I want to go, let's go back to these lines and just look and see if those lines have anything to tell you, because we've brought up all kinds of stuff and you brought these people into connection for a reason. So there's information there for you. So just look and see what those lines have to tell you. You know, and if you're doing the replay at home, you can try it with different things. You can try it with people who are perhaps more complicated, because then you have more time to go exploring. Right? Pause works, man. And then think about putting love in every single line that's there, because that's can only be good for you. Whatever it's about, just think about putting love in all of those connections and all of those lines. Some of them would dissolve simply because you put love in them. Some of them will just shift. Some of them will stay the same and maybe make information available. It's all about what you want in the moment. That's it. Put love in all the lines. And then just think about letting all those people go. And let's spin that circle, spin that ball of light for a while to just release whatever needs to go. Give yourself lots of comfort and acceptance and approval and love and detox, because you did lots of work with that. That's it. So we discovered all kinds of things about what we want from people. And just being really clear about discovering inside you as opposed to trying to think it through, because there's so much information we don't give our heads. You can explore what you actually want from people and experiences to allow that to change and evolve, or allow yourself even to just, without changing it, have a more conscious experience so that you can have more choices available. All of it is about putting yourself in a position of choice and making those choices accessible. All right, so you can either leave the ball of light in place or release it. I want to do a quick campfire. Since it's wintry, I'm guessing you probably want beach. So we'll go beach. Relax and breathe. Okay. Just focus on your breath. Picture one of those gorgeous, perfect days for going to a beach. It's the perfect temperature. It's got the perfect sky. It's got the perfect breeze. And this is a beach that only you can go to. So picture the path that leads to the beach. And it can be whatever kind of beach. It could be a sand beach. It could be beach rocks. It could be whatever kind of beach you like. Picture the path that goes to the beach and allow yourself to walk along that path. And as you walk along the path, let yourself leave behind whatever concerns are preoccupying you and allow yourself to have this time that is for you, with you. Allow yourself to walk along that path deeper and deeper. Walk along the path deeper and deeper. Feel the perfect breeze. Give yourself whatever sunglasses or hats or clothes that may suit you. Whatever footwear suits you. Let the path be comfortable for you. Deeper and deeper. Deeper and deeper. And as you come out onto the beach, you see the water is just that perfect kind of water. If there are waves, it's waves you're comfortable with. Perhaps the water is still. Whatever suits you is fine. And you look ahead, and then on the beach you see a campfire. And beside the campfire is a chair. Allow yourself to walk along that beach, towards that campfire, towards that chair. This is a place for you and a place for you to discover you. And it's always your choice. And yes, if you want to walk in the other direction, that's fine too. If you want to go for a swim, that's fine too. This is your place and your choices. If you come along to the campfire, then this is a place of discovery where you can allow yourself to sit in a chair and find things. And just for now, think that little kids know how to love, and they don't care what your hair is like. They don't care what your body is like. They're kind of like puppies. They just love. So find a part of you inside you that knows how to love and call her out. Let's set up a ball of light to spin through you and around you and through this part of you, this young version of you who knows how to love. And it's entirely possible that as loving as she is, that she has pain because she may have felt that she tried so hard to love and maybe people didn't know how to feel loved. Maybe she didn't have the effect she wanted to have with her love. And so ask yourself if you are willing to accept her love as pure as it is, as clear as it is. Check and see, does she want to love you? Check in you. Are you able and willing to let her love you? And if you're ready, then let her come and give that love to you. And check and see, does she feel comfortable loving more? This is the part of you who truly knows how to love and just give. Her heart is full. Ask her to help you heal. Ask her to help you learn how to feel that you deserve love, that you are loved, and that what you are is right. Think of something about yourself that you still have trouble with, perhaps that you still judge or that you call wrong, and call out that part of yourself. Call out that part of yourself and ask her to help you love that part of yourself. Let her give that unconditional, pure love to this part of you and to you. Perhaps think of some part of yourself that you still judge, or you look back and think, oh my God, I was so stupid, or I wish I'd known then what I know now, or something that you still struggle with or you still have that judgment of, and call out that part of you and ask her to help you to love this part of you and to love you. I think if there's some other part of you that you have trouble loving, or perhaps some part that she can see inside you that you didn't even want to know about, that she would like to help you love, maybe let her help you bring that out to be loved. See, can you breathe that love in, that feeling of being loved? Can you breathe it in all the parts of your body? All of the tissues and all of the energy and the spaces in between. See if you can wrap yourself in her love. And if there's any places where you doubt your ability to give love, well, she's inside you and she's a part of you and she knows exactly how to love. So let her give you the knowing that you know how to love. And if you haven't been sure if you know how to love yourself, and she absolutely knows how to love you, and she is inside you and part of you. So let her give you that deep knowing that you know how to love yourself. Perhaps even allow her to give you the ability to love yourself thoroughly and constantly. And any parts of you that think it's about deserving or earning or any of that conditional stuff, she doesn't buy into any of that. To let her loving you melt all of that away. And then maybe all of those parts of you might have some stuff to let go. So you can bring them into the fire. The fire is about release. Let the fire just release whatever needs to go. It might be obsolete emotion. Might be the feelings that well up as she brings you love. There could be grief because this wasn't available before. Let the fire burn it all away. The flames without pain. And check and see all of these pieces that are learning to feel loved by you. Let them evolve and let them integrate. And it may be that some of them need to stay a little bit longer just to be with her and feel her love. Or it might be that they're all ready to come inside. And for sure, that piece of you who knows how to love is right there. And she can come inside and she can stay with any of them who need her. Both of those can be true. She also knows how to put love places. So if there's something stuck somewhere in your body, she can just love it for you. So if there's an ache or a pain or something that feels stuck in a part of your body, she can simply love that. That's it. Maybe just sit with her for a few minutes and just let her love you. Just let yourself soak in that. Be with someone who has nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. It's not an imposition. It's not inconvenient. It's not taking up their time. She is you. And she's right here with you, loving you. It's important for her to know that she has an effect for you. So think about giving her an acknowledgement that what she has to give you is important to you, and you're glad. Think about what you want to say to her so that she understands that her love matters and it has an effect. And think about whether you want to make some kind of gesture or signal, kind of like your own secret handshake with her. Maybe it's some kind of gesture. A lot of people say if you tap where your thyroid is, it's good for your health. Or maybe it's rubbing two of your fingers together. Think about creating some kind of gesture that you can use to remind yourself to feel that this part of you is right there loving you. So you can practice feeling this unconditional love to get used to it, to train yourself to feel it, to experience it. Because the more you allow yourself to feel this and experience it, the more you can radiate it, the more you can attract it. It's about teaching yourself to feel this, to allow this, to become comfortable with this, so this becomes your normal. And then this comes into your life. Because what you feel on the inside is what you manifest on the outside. This part of you will teach you how to have relationships without should and without cost. She simply loves you. It is. That's it. Now you can carry her inside you. Check and see if anything else needs to integrate. They may hang around there on the beach to soak in the love. When you feel ready, leave your chair and go down to the water. And allow yourself to lie there and let the water wash through you and flush away anything that's ready to go. Anything that's detox from all the changes you have made. Allow it to soothe you. Let it flush your cells. Let it flush your energy. And then when you feel ready, you can either come back, stroll back along the path, or you can simply allow the water to carry you back and bring your awareness back to the room. Of course, the challenge is when we're all doing it at home is that you'll all be unconscious at this point, right?
That's where the zero gravity chair comes in.
Right? I'd consider it a good thing. Right?
I'm gonna try one of these in bed,
Right?
ready?
Right? Just
Yeah.
you'll be out.
Yeah. Just to see if it's free.
Right?
Or no, but like actually, like
Yeah.
when you do that connection thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it is really strong when you're, one of those, I remember there was one where I'm like, why is she doing another one? It's already too much.
Right.
I remember that.
That's why the replays are good. Because
Yeah,
you know you can say, that's
yeah,
enough.
Yeah, because by that.
Full up. I'm full up. You're allowed to do that. And there's so much. There's so much.
Why are these numb? It's a hard chair.
Yeah. But it's the same chair as always.
Yeah.
Margot brings a cushion. This is,
I did after the last few times, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But there's always a reason too, right?
What is the part?
Yeah,
You're safe, right?
yeah. So is it safe to feel loved?
Why is it so sore in here? Is that the unable to take resources?
Yeah. I think you're releasing stuff at the moment. So I would say just flush it. Just think of fire hose it out, right?
I got really cold.
Isn't that interesting? Right around your heart.
Yeah,
Like the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't get warm.
Okay. So bring it up from your belly. So find the bowl and just take all of that warmth from the bowl and just bring it through your whole body. So think about what that means. It's that allowing yourself to feel loved by you was chilling. And your body is really, really literal. So, usually if we say something is chilling, it's scary, right? And
But this is also the form of expression.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it's also like if you think you're cutting yourself off from that warmth, very literally, right? So that means it was scary. I would suggest it's so unknown that you just need to practice and be very gentle with it. Say, okay, scary as hell. Because that's the challenge, is that your limbic system doesn't like anything that's an unfamiliar feeling.
And the whole time.
Right? Right? So it's, okay, we did that, we didn't die. So maybe we could do it again.
That's what you said in the, I think it was February 2013 CD that I was listening to, that if you never conquer your fears enough to try it, then your body doesn't understand that you can survive conquering your fear.
Right?
And so if you've never if you've always held back,
Yeah.
you never get the chance to try it once, which means you can do it again. And
Yep. And I would say when you have that, little tiny steps, because you don't have to jump off a cliff to prove to your body that you can do this. You can take little tiny, tiny steps to be gentle. To say, okay, look, we did that little step. We're okay. Try another little step. Okay, we're still okay. Right? And then as it gets more comfortable, as opposed to try to beat yourself into submission. This is the thing I try to avoid,
the example I was thinking of is, even though I'm strapped in and there's a net, was leaning out and taking the trapeze, because
Yeah.
I was sure my hands would not hold. Does that
Yeah.
mean I wouldn't accept that I was in control?
I think you wouldn't accept supporting yourself. Because if other people, like if you're a dependent, that gives them control. And it gives you a reason
Yeah,
to accede authority to them, right?
I think if Paul wasn't there, I might have been able to do it.
Right? Because if you do it and you don't need him, you've literally broken that dynamic, right? You're supposed to be a dependent. Very, very challenging, right? Everybody's chilled.
So breaking the dynamic means it could possibly be threatened.
Oh, it would definitely make you feel threatened. And so it's about allowing yourself to understand that this is scary. So how do I comfort myself? How do I, what is the safety net? What is the harness? Right? Part of that small steps is part of it. Right? Allowing yourself do singing bold and give yourself courage.
So the fear is here, not that.
You just talked yourself right out of that, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you said, the fear is always in your heart. Well, you can hold fear in all different kinds of parts of your body, right?
I think the fear is more that he'll break.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though he won't.
No.
Probably.
Unlikely, right?
But that's the fear. He'll
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, because you're used to thinking of yourself as the bad guy, right? Yeah.
And we're not used to being dominant or being.
That's right.
Ever.
Living it the way we want to live it, right?
That's right, yeah.
Right.
Pat has a question.
Yeah.
Why are her knees and tailbone sore and her eyes are itchy?
Okay, so the itchy eyes, that's a new visioning opening. So that means you're going to start seeing something. It's probably a new way of seeing auras. The tailbone is fear. Yeah. And that's a typical reaction because it's like, oh my God, this is new, right? Again, it's that the whole thing of the limbic system going, well, we don't know how to do this. We haven't survived this before. We might die. The knees are, it's interesting because the fear, you literally don't know if you want to run away or freeze. It's literally that, like, there must be, should I run away? Should I hide under the bed? What should I do? And you're literally torn. So lots of comfort. Isn't it interesting? Because these are strong reactions. Think like, so what did we do? We go find a part of yourself who knows how to love. Right? Right? I mean, you're literally shaking there, right? And just pause for a minute and consider, because that part of you has always been there, right? And there's two pieces of this. One is allowing yourself to feel loved. There's just the thought of that is terrifying in a lot of ways. But the other thing is the giving that part of you who knows how to love validation that your love has value. That's pretty huge. These are big things. We don't do the small stuff here, And it's, part of the challenge here is just tell the truth of how big this is. Right?
So a lot of the lines that I was connecting with those 5 different people had to do with validation.
See? Okay. And so,
Form or another.
right? And see, if you've been taught from the beginning, like, so here's the thing. When you're a little kid and your love is unconditional, it hurts when people can't respond to it. And it's not the quality of your love, but the thing is you have to start feeling like, geez, there must be something wrong with me. Here I am, I'm pouring my heart out and nobody gets it. And you start to think it must be me, right? They're all doing the same thing. It must be me. And that's not true, but it's certainly easy to come to that conclusion. And so to go in and validate that part of you that loves, it may be the first time ever, right? Right? And I mean, everybody's parents have got wounds. Come on, we're human, right? They're all human, They're all human. So this will be a good one to practice to build up your muscles. I know I say that about all of them, but the thing is, it's the truth. What are we doing next month? I have no idea yet. Yes, next month is one of these. January is when the new year starts. If you haven't already told us whether you're going to be here, you have to make up your mind. It's up to you. The replay, yeah, valid. The replays for 2017 will stay there until the first workshop in January, then they're gone. Then the password will change. We start a new year.
Will those of us who continue still get access?
No, because the 2017 ones will be gone.
Oh, I haven't listened to them yet.
You've had a year, darling.
And there's 6 weeks left.
People be spending a lot I'm gonna move that chair downstairs and put it right in front of the seat.
Right? I will look and see if I can keep them. However, I'm concerned that if we keep them, that you'll say, well, they'll still be there next year and you'll never get to them. There shouldn't be, not from there. I don't think so, because we tried. Okay, well, maybe. Well, she's techie. Maybe she figured something out. there was nothing obvious to me. And
I tried playing your CD into my voice to text thing. Didn't work.
no, I have yet. So I've tried many times to use one of those, like basically you talk and it types. I'm a noof. They have no tolerance for noofs. I know I can sound tremendously noofy. It's a dialect. The thing is, I speak very fast. You're used to it. And so when I did the original Living Your Light CD, the guy who did the music, he said, you speak like twice as fast as, Ottawa people do. And I guess you're used to it. But I speak very fast, but you don't realize it because, right, it's a down east thing. But
Places that are cold, people talk quickly.
right? Get in out of the wind.
Get the message and get it back in the house.
Right? Get in out of the wind, buddy. Right? When I was 19 and I moved to British Columbia, I actually thought people were making fun of me because they spoke so slowly. Like, do you think I'm stupid? It really did. It's like it was so slow compared to what I was used to because I came from Newfoundland and went to BC, and yeah, so I speak very fast, but I've learned to speak mainland pretty good, right? So then it was much worse, shall we say. I literally thought they were making fun of me because they were talking so slowly. I thought they must think I'm an idiot or something.
It's frustrating. You want to fill it, and it
Yeah.
complete the sentence. because
Right.
it's like,
Get to it. And it's just what you're used to. It's funny. I thought it was funny. Well, Ottawa is east. It's just not as east, right? The further west you go, the slower they go. It's fun. Yep. That's where that. So, I better wrap things up. So, pay attention to that big ball of light that I started at the beginning. And whether you released it or not, I kept it in place. And spin that into your heart to just give yourself more comfort because this was a tough one. The people in the room were all huddled in blankets and jackets with the shakes. So it's probably easier if you're at home because you can do your shaking at home. Yeah. Yes. So, right? And we even did beach, right? So, right? So recognize that allowing yourself to feel love was terrifying.
So then expressing love is even more terrifying.
Oh, wow, right? So expressing love is even more terrifying. So you can learn, yeah, well, you did it once, and you didn't die. So that makes the second time easier. And so if you train yourself, then you get used to it. Then it becomes easy. Imagine that. And imagine then what you could attract. Wouldn't that be interesting?
I'm confused with the illusion of caring for others compared to love.
Because we've been, so the way our society teaches us to care is through sacrifice. So we're trained, like to feel caring is to feel sacrifice. And so it takes a lot of work because that's so ingrained and it's visceral because of you're born as a parasite from being a parasite. It takes a lot of training to be able to distinguish loving from sacrifice. It's difficult, right? All right, one more, right? And then it's all online. And then everybody has to learn to speak, either getting a headset or typing in their comments. So it can be right. You should see when I tried, like, and I've tried different versions of like Dragon Naturally Speaking, and I've tried all these different ones, and the ones that say, they're good at, you can teach them. So we tried the teaching process. So I could say things like, the car is blue, and it would write, a black cat walked in her path. What? It's not like, not even remotely close. Like if you said the car is blue, you could understand if it said something like, and then she put some glue on the paper, like like not even remotely, even in the same ballpark close.
I had thought you might have put something in it so that it wouldn't, so people couldn't do that.
No,
'Cause
no. That would be way too much work.
Well, what I might try it again then and see, because there's that certain part in there that between, with mother and father and all that I want to write down so I can remember.
The fun part is you'll only write down what you can hear.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Imagine when you speak to people, how much they're actually taking.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows you go back to those CDs and play them again. It's like, that's not what I heard the last time.
4 years before we had the thing from your heart that I actually heard that I was supposed to stand there first.
Right?
4 years. My favorite one.
I remember Judy asked me, she said, question. And I said, well, it's there. And if you go back and listen to the unlock, which I'm sure you've listened to at least 3,000